We started out 100% focused on corporate, or if you wanted to go out to dinner, something like that. But that was really all our focus. But then that led to the corporation saying, "Hey, we have whatever a board of directors coming in, or we're having a meeting of 20 people. Can you help us out?" Right? And it was very easy when it's like, "Oh, we got individual flights coming in. Everyone needs their own car." That was very easy. But when they started saying, "Hey, we need 10 people to go to the airport, to dinner, to an offsite meeting," that's when we eventually got into van. But it was the old Econo line short top. I think they were E350s or something.
Okay. Yep.
Very uncomfortable. So we got into that. Then once we started doing that, our clients started wanting us to handle even bigger meetings. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to partner, right? So I found local companies that had bigger equipment, not really party buses, but more of the traditional executive style forward facing seating, whether it was mini coaches or various size buses. And so we started doing that. But and then we did a little bit too with stretch limos. We were working with the traditional limo company that had, the Escalade stretch or a party bus or something for things like weddings. What we have found early on was that the companies weren't meeting our service standards that I had set out and what they were used to. And that started to become problematic. And really what led us to get into the bigger equipment is, even though we can explain to our clients, like, "Hey, I'm sorry that they showed up later, the driver wasn't answering the phone, or the bus was dirty." We try to provide all these instructions early on about what the expectations are, but they just overall weren't listening or not listening enough. Our clients said, "Listen, we get it. But because this was our experience, either we want a refund or we want a discount." And then I'd have to essentially have a tough conversation with our partner at the time, because of course they didn't want to give up anything and gave up every excuse in the book as to why what happened, even though it was clearly their failure. Our clients, I said, "Listen, why don't you just get into the bus business yourself? Like, we have actually more work to give you." So I got my wheels turning, and I want to say, it was probably about 7 to 8 years, when let's see, we got our first motor coach in 2017, so that was 10 years. We got in the minibus business probably about 2 or 3 years before that. So it was probably around 2013, 2014 when we got our first minibus, and then just got our second and got into the executive style sprinters, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're the first to bring that style executive style sprinter to our market. Back, I don't even know. It was maybe 2010, 2011, somewhere around there.
Oh, wow.
When they weren't as common as they are today. And so when we started matching the service standards with the elegance of the vehicle, with the reliability, and then we just graduated that into the mini buses, which is easy to do with the provider like Gretsch Motors, who has always produced a great product. And then you start getting into the bigger buses like Gretsch. We started getting into the GM40s, and some of their 35 to 40 footers. And then that eventually led to us getting into motor coaches, where MCI, the Timsas, the Van Hoels of the world started building limo specs. They call it, leatherette seating, lighting, more of a full wood flooring, just to more mimic a more traditional style limo that's really nice, but executive, all forward facing, different amenities. And so we just eventually graduated that. And it really came from our clients saying, "Listen, we love working with you guys, but your partners you're using are failing. We can't have that. Please get into the bus business." And so, to some extent, I don't want to say we're forced into it, but that led me to, if we want it done the way we want it done, we just got to do it ourselves. And that also came from some of our employees, because they were getting very frustrated. Those in the back office, whether it was a dispatch manager or one of the other people from my management team, they're like, "Can we just get in it? Like, if we're going to, I'm tired of having these conversations with the client and our partners.
Yeah.
So let's just get into it ourselves." So I said, "All right, let's go." We rolled the dice, and now we got a pretty sizable fleet and well known for a lot of different industries, both in our local market and outside.
How much of the work you do with the buses is contract type work versus more one-off type stuff? It's mostly with those large buses. I'm guessing you're not buying those until you're pretty confident you at least have some sort of contract work that you can fill in with, or what percentage of your bus work is contract versus versus non? I'm assuming it's mainly contract work, or
so there's different styles of contract work, right? You can get a continuous shuttle, right? Where, it's like here we have casinos, and you can get on a fixed route, fixed schedule, get a contract, and every day you need X number of buses that are going to be running for X amount of time, and so you can do the math and figure that out.
yes.
We haven't won that business because we haven't been able to meet their lower price point in terms of the customer.
I'm sure they beat. Yeah, they get some pretty good rates, I'm sure, because to have that much guaranteed business, I'm assuming everyone would want that, right?
Correct. And so that's been a challenge for us to try to maintain the profit that we're trying to maintain versus the low dollar guaranteed work, which I understand you do, for that guaranteed work, consistent thing, you do got to lower your prices quite often. It's just, I haven't been able to go as low as they wanted me to go. But part of the reason why is because we're so successful elsewhere. We have many other contracts, whether it's with hotel accounts, whether it's DMCs, whether it's corporations. We have a lot of those contracts, which even if it's not on a fixed shuttle schedule, it's contracted work where they're able to demonstrate how much business they're going to give us. And they've been able to actually do that, because too often corporations are like, yeah, we do $100,000 a year, so we want your pricing based on that $100,000 a year. And when I was first in the industry, I was like, oh, okay, great. Like, yeah, I'd love to work with you. Give them whatever discount. And like, okay, yeah, we'll sign. And come to find out they do $25,000 a year in business. I'm like, well, what happened?
Yeah.
So that's why you got to be very careful about what they promise. You'd want to
eye in the sky, right?
Yeah, you'd want to change it differently to say, okay, let's have some
like tiered sort of. Yes.
So like no discount early on, or maybe a small one, and then once you reach this other threshold, we'll give you a bigger discount. Reach another threshold, then we'll give you more. Or I prefer more of on a commission basis, right? So it's like, hey, I agree to, let's just call it 5%. I'll give you 5% back for however much business you want to send, right? But then they sometimes will ask for tiers there too and say, okay, well, 5% to open, but then what if we get to this tier? Can we get a little bit more? Sure, we'll go up to 7, and then another tier. Okay, we'll go up to 10. So it makes them earn those bigger discounts or commissions instead of just giving it to them right up at the front.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to do it. The Hermes brand, it's pretty big, I know, in your market in all of Colorado. I'm curious, how did you? What do you handle in the business? I know you're the CEO, but do you have like a director of operations? Like, kind of what's the structure like now? Because I know it's a pretty sizable business at this point. I know you've made several acquisitions. How is your business structured at this point in terms of like leadership team and so forth?
Yeah, so I've never been a big believer in a lot of hierarchy, even when I was in the corporate world. Like if I have a question, like I'm not saying, I'm the low man on the totem pole, I should just be able to go into the CEO's office of a Fortune 100, or Fortune 50 company and, get their ear. Because I understand their time's limited, because I'm nowhere near that size and my time's limited now. So I can only imagine when you have that many more people and that many more shareholders and responsibilities and customers. But being a small business, to me, speed matters. And in sports, they say speed kills, right? So when I take that same analogy, because I've always played sports my whole life, just pretty much every single sport. I still love sports now. And I take that same philosophy with me now in business of speed kills. But what I mean by that is speed kills your competition. Right. So if you can get to market quicker, if you can respond quicker, like I cannot tell you how much business we've earned because we were the first to respond. That's it. Didn't even matter about the price. Yeah. And especially someone that's used to using transportation, like, oh, wow, we've never gotten a response from anyone before. And we have companies we've been working with for years. Like sometimes it takes 2-3 days to get back to us. And you guys are responding within minutes or maybe an hour. And like if we've taken 2 or 3 hours to respond, we're apologizing. Hey, I'm sorry, it took me a little bit longer, but here's your answer. You're like, don't worry about it. Like you guys respond so quick. So we've done very good. And so that's kind of the culture I've created. Like, hey, we have to answer quickly, right? Because sometimes you'll get the business just because you're the first to respond because they want to make a decision. Secondly, that creates trust, that creates reliability, and that tells them, hey, we know someone that's going to be responsive. And so
yes,
when they need all that, they come to us. And so we've just built our team with that in mind. Now, to answer your question pointedly, I've always believed in a flat architecture. Like for us to be quick, my team has to be able to have immediate access to me, right?
yeah,
And so I do have managers that help make all the decision. I have leadership team where we have an HR manager, I have a director of client success, I have a director of operations, I got a chauffeur manager, and I got a fleet manager. That's it. Fine.
Do you jump levels? So Elon, I don't know if you've ever followed his style. That's exactly, and these are massive companies. He goes straight to talk to the engineers, right?
Oh yeah,
literally down like 5, like, but that's fascinating. And yeah, I agree because you can move quicker, right? And and you have your finger on the pulse, right? Of like what's actually going on. And
oh yeah, like yeah. I mean, I'll go straight to our mechanic. I'll go straight to a detailer. Like it's not because I don't trust my leadership team.
Sure.
But I'm just an impatient person by nature. I think I was just born that way. So if, instead of waiting 30 minutes for an answer, if I go to their manager, if I'm nearby or something, sometimes I'll just go straight to the source. Like, hey, what happened here? What are we doing? What transpired? Why did this vehicle break down? Why, what happened with this accident? Whatever it might be. Sometimes I'll just go straight to the source. Like I have no problem. But at the same time, they have to know that they can come to me too. And to the point, like even I believe that so much. In my office, I don't have an office. I literally share, my office is our storage closet. And I have a standing desk.
I like that.
Yeah. So I have a standing desk. I share it with all of our storage and our marketing material, things like that. And my door's pretty much always open when I'm in the office. And so I do that because to keep a pulse on the business, I want to be able to move around. I want people to know they can come to me. And so it's always been very important to me is the speed, flat hierarchy. We don't have a bunch of layers. Like that's it. There's not middle managers. Sometimes my team, if they've come from corporate America, sometimes they suggest, oh, maybe we should have another supervisor here, things like that. I'm like, no, we don't need that. We need
some
to
more
be
meetings.
Flat. Yeah. Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, no, it's funny when you're in small business. Yeah, I couldn't imagine working in one of those really big, bloated, where you're in meetings all day, right? Bureaucracy, death by bureaucracy.